Hi, welcome to the Weburz podcast. I have Jarmos with me, the Chief Technical Officer of Weburz. Go ahead, Jarmos, you can introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm basically the CTO of Weburz and I write code. And today we are going to talk about the XZ Utils backdoor vulnerability that was uh, introduced to the open source library. When did it happen? It happened a few weeks ago, right?
Yeah, I think the
Yeah.
news came out a few weeks ago.
So we are basically going to talk about it. It's a very brief overview. We won't be going into the intricate details because we believe there are a lot of people more experienced than either of us who has dived deeper into this drama, this the actual source code of the backdoor and everything.
Definitely,
No.
yeah. We are not in that position to go
Yeah.
in detail, but I think with this podcast, what we aim to do is we want to bring out what happened so that people who do not write code for a living, even they are able to understand what happened. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
Jarmos, can you give a brief overview of what exactly happened?
So there is this open source library.
Hmm.
When I mean open source, as in the source code is available for the public to look through it. Uh, the library's name is XZ Utils. It's a bunch of software that serves a lot of different purposes. Now, there is this one particular purpose called compression of data. The attacker introduced some backdoor code which could be remotely executed into one of those software, which is bundled within the executables general software. Would it be right to call it general software?
I suppose, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, executils is a bunch of more smaller. They're not general purpose. I mean, executils is the general purpose software. It bundles more specific utilitarian software in it.
So basically, what you're saying is that this XZ Utils library is
Hmm.
available on every person's machine which has Linux installed, right?
Yeah, yeah. You could potentially use executils on other operating systems as well,
All right.
but yeah, it's primarily used on Linux systems.
So it can be
Primarily,
used on Windows as well.
it can be used on Windows as well. Yeah,
Okay.
so you have to write code for it.
How to use it?
Yeah, to use it. Yeah.
All right. Um, I guess you already explained what happened. Uh,
Mhm.
are you aware of like the chronological order of this attack? Do you have any information in that regard?
Yeah. So
Uh,
there is this guy.
yeah, yeah, about
Yeah.
that. I think it was on
Yeah.
March 29th, right? When this was discovered.
March 29.
Yeah.
I'm not sure of the exact date when it was discovered.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I believe it was a guy named Andre something. I can look him up his exact name,
I think
just to
it's
give him
Andre
extra
Friund,
credits.
and he works
Yeah,
in
Andre
Microsoft.
Freund. Yeah, yeah. So he was trying to SSH, as in remotely connect to a virtual machine that was hosted on a cloud platform. So he wanted to SSH into his remote virtual machine,
Mhm.
and he noticed a zero point 0.5 seconds of delay. Yeah, it's not a lot. It's not a lot. It might seem like not a massive delay to a layman, but it is quite a massive deal uh, for people like us,
Definitely.
right? Yeah.
I I think he must be running some kind of tests as well if he was recording the time that it took him to SSH into his server, right?
Yeah, of course, of course. I mean, he probably have done it after noticing the delay. He started going down the rabbit hole,
Hmm.
and that's when he found out that there were a bunch, not a single backdoor, but a bunch of them.
So what happened immediately after that? This open source software, I think it's hosted on GitHub, right? And from what I remember, the repositories that had this code were taken down, right?
They were not taken down; they're more like disabled, as in you couldn't read it, you couldn't access it. Only GitHub people at GitHub had access to it.
I
It was
see.
like completely taken off of the internet
So the whole,
for a while.
so
For a
the
while,
account of these people who were involved with this project, I think their
yeah,
accounts were disabled as well.
yeah. Yeah, but GitHub quickly restored the accounts within a few weeks, and I believe the actual repository, the vulnerable repository, is live once again, and the original author, I don't remember his exact name, the original author of XZ Utils, he's on a vacation right now, a much needed vacation, and he said he'll be uh, back from his vacation in a few weeks time, and then start fixing the vulnerable code.
I see.
Yeah,
Do you think there was an appropriate response?
definitely it was a big deal. If the attacker was successful with his goal, he would have access to millions and millions of computers out there.
So
So
this was, yeah, this is definitely a very
yeah,
well thought out attack.
yeah,
And
yeah.
uh, is there still development going on in this particular case, or has the issue been solved completely?
I don't think the issue is resolved completely. This guy, the attacker, who goes by the name Jia Tai, I believe that's what his name was.
Yes.
Jia Tan. Jia Tan.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Uh, his name is very speculative. No one knows what his identity is. So he started contributing really high quality source code, some two, three, four, or maybe even more than that. Let's say 5 years back. So he has been contributing to the project for a very long time, and there is belief that all the source code that he has written, it could be unsafe.
Wow. So
Yeah,
has the original maintainer rolled back all that code? Will it be possible to even untangle all that code in
it
this?
could be,
Okay.
it could be possible. It's going to take him time. So the best thing to do right now is just to roll back to a previous, much older version of the software. And if you are using some sort of package manager, it should already be taken care of for you. So there's nothing for you to be worried about in that regards.
Do you think this library is used in
Hmm.
any production software? If it is used in a
Hmm.
production environment, what
Hmm.
will be the, like, what will they do now? The people who maintain such projects.
Thankfully, it did not go into production. Thankfully, I mean, I wouldn't say put it that way. I wouldn't put it that way because uh, Linux distributions like Debian, Ubuntu, Fedora, they do not ship some unstable version of projects to production right away. So there is a few years of gap between when a stable and unstable version of a particular software is released into production.
I see.
Now, this guy Jia Tan, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing his name.
No, it's all right.
Yeah, yeah. So this guy Jia Tan, apparently he was already in talks with the Debian maintainers to ship XZ Utils, the vulnerable version of XZ Utils, to Debian, the next version of Debian, that is Debian 13, soon enough. So if that had happened, uh, all the vulnerable code that he has written would have been deployed to production. Now, it didn't happen, fortunately. Like, it was a extremely close call.
uh, have such cases occurred in history?
I wouldn't be surprised if it has happened before. Uh, I'll have to do some research in that regards. I don't want to
All right.
make some, yeah, uneducated claims
Okay,
about this
then.
stuff.
We can talk about the social engineering aspect of this whole hack because from what I
Yeah,
understand,
yeah,
uh, this was a this was a very well planned attack where
yeah.
not only this Jian guy who
Mm-hmm,
contributed high quality code, only he wasn't
mm-hmm,
responsible for this whole attack. It was
mm-hmm.
also supplemented with the social aspect of the hack. And when I say social aspect, I mean there was this guy, Jigar Kumar, and I think
Mm-hmm.
he contributed a lot of issues, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And those issues were used to pressure the original maintainer to
Mm-hmm.
to introduce this Jian guy as one of the maintainers.
Yeah,
Was
yeah.
that what happened?
Yeah, so there is a bit of speculation, and as I mentioned, like the actual identity of the Jiatan guy hasn't been like 100% identified. Uh, so it's just speculations from here on out. It could be very possible that all the three guys involved, Jiatan, Jigar Kumar, and there was one more North European guy, some Hansen. I don't remember the exact name. So it could be very possible that these three guys were just one single individual impersonating three different individuals with three different GitHub accounts.
Uh,
It was really well thought out,
so this is like one of
like
those spy
extremely well
movies,
thought
right?
out. You could say so, yeah. If you dig deeper in, I think you could literally make a Hollywood movie out of it, and I would like to watch it.
So uh, I stressed on the social engineering aspect quite a lot because
Yeah.
from what I have been reading,
Mm-hmm.
one of the reasons why this uh, hack was able to achieve this level of intrusion
Mm-hmm.
into the
Mm-hmm.
uh, whole project was because
Mm-hmm.
open source software developers are very much stressed because
Mm-hmm.
uh, they they make a project which out of their own goodwill or because they just want
Mm-hmm.
to make it, and then they are left with maintaining the project, adding newer features while receiving uh, more criticism than appreciation for their work. What do you think about that?
Well, unfortunately, that's a very real situation. It's a very unfortunate situation, and uh, guys like Jiatan identified that vulnerability, that social vulnerability, and made the most out of it. So he manipulated the original maintainer, who was already burnt out. I mean, he has been maintaining the Executives project for decades now, many decades,
Okay.
and yeah, it's pretty obvious that he feels burned out.
So about this situation, uh,
Mhm.
it's I think it's a valid question, which which Jigar Kumar was also asking a lot of times. If
Mhm.
you're not able to keep up with the PRs, why do you not introduce new maintainers? And I think that was what this hack was moving towards, right? They were trying to
Right,
introduce
right,
this
right.
Xian Tang
Yeah, yeah.
as one of the maintainers. So,
Right, right, right.
but even if we ignore this, these their ulterior motives,
Hmm.
we still need more maintainers, right? So, shouldn't the original maintainer have worked towards getting more maintainers to work on the project, or was it just not possible because people just didn't want to contribute for free in an open source software project?
It's definitely possible that people didn't want to contribute. I mean, it's a massive undertaking after all. Like if you're maintaining projects like XZ Utils, which are used by millions of computers out there, you'd have to treat it as your own baby, like a human baby.
Yeah,
You
that's a lot of
cannot,
dedication.
yeah, you cannot take up responsibility of maintaining the software and then some months or some days later decide that this is too much. I'm not going to work on it anymore. You can't do that.
I
You
see.
cannot do that because millions of developers out there, and eventually many more end users are indirectly dependent on you to help them out.
It's a huge
So
responsibility if you look at it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So this is one reason why it's very possible that the original maintainer, the original developer couldn't find maintainers to help him out. And the rest is history. Ziadatan and his crooks, they utilized this exact vulnerability, manipulated the original developer, and this happened.
So, do you think in this case, uh,
Hmm.
corporations? I was looking at a diagram where
Hmm.
the top was made up of all polished uh, software architecture in the modern world, and then all
Hmm.
that architecture was resting on two or three blocks of code that is or software maintained by
Hmm.
some random person in Nebraska since 2003 or something.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I know which comic are you talking about. We can share it as well, no? Can
yeah,
you,
yeah, I think.
yeah, can you look it up?
My question is,
Yeah.
do corporations, big corporations, okay, who
Hmm.
are using node packages, who are using all kinds of uh, libraries, okay, such as
Hmm.
XZ Utils and whatnot, do they have some
Hmm.
sort of responsibility towards the open source software environment? Do they have some
Hmm.
responsibility towards contributing some portion of whatever help they can towards this infrastructure? Should they should it should the responsibility be fall on them, or should it be a government responsibility, or should programmers just out of the goodness of their heart contribute to such uh, betterment of the code? What do you think?
Yeah. So this is a very good question, and the answer to it is very subjective. I probably might have stepped on a landmine by saying it, but this is what I think. Uh, until and unless there is a good model, economic and social model to financially and socially contribute to the open source ecosystem, the environment, and the community, I think there will always be uh, frustrated participants. The open source contributors, developers, maintainers, they would keep craving on corporates utilizing their inventions, their code, and not giving back anything in return, while corporates would keep hogging open source developers that new features and bug fixes are not delivered on time. So, like, if you genuinely ask me, I think there is a massive social gap in there, and someone needs to come up with a good economic and social model to satisfy both parties.
Yeah, I think that was a good response.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I think we are done with this short podcast for today.
Hmm.
This is a feature that we are working on, both of us,
Hmm.
where we
Hmm.
talk about uh, whatever is happening in the tech industry, in
Right,
the
right, right,
open source software environment, and things
right.
that we can talk about, which we usually talk about among the two of
Yeah.
us, but we just
Yeah.
thought that we can bring it out to a larger audience, and not necessarily that that audience doesn't have to be programmers, but we hope that we
Hmm.
can just explain those terms in in a simple language.
Right, right, right. Exactly. Yeah.
All right then, Jarmus, it was really nice
Yeah.
to talk to you.
Yeah. I
uh,
I had fun talking about this stuff as well, and I look forward to talking about and sharing more information with our audience.
Definitely, I hope so as well.
Yeah, yeah,
All right then, till next time. In
yeah.
Bulgarian we say do skoro.
Yeah.